I'm going to tell you something that might make you a little uncomfortable. The more experience you have, the worse most professionals answer this question. Tell me about yourself. 4 words. The first question in almost every interview. And the one that senior professionals, people with 10, 12, 15 years of experience, consistently get wrong. Not because they are not impressive, because they answer it like a resume, not like a leader. I have sat on the interviewing side of the table for decades as a COO, hiring senior professionals and evaluating leadership candidates. And I can tell you, in the first 90 seconds of an interview, I had already formed an impression. Most people never recovered from a weak opening. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly what's going wrong with your answer right now and give you a framework that will change how you open every interview from this point forward. So stay with me. I have been in hiring conversations at every level, from team leads to senior directors to C suite. I have evaluated candidates who walked in with extraordinary track records and lost the room in the first 2 minutes. And I have seen people with less impressive CVs walk in and command the conversation from the opening question. The difference was never the qualifications, it was how they chose to tell their story. Experienced professionals often think seniority speaks for itself. Well, it does not. You have to speak for it. And this video is about how exactly can you do it. Here's what we are covering. First, why experience actually makes this question harder, not easier. Then, the 3 part structure that works for senior professionals specifically. And finally, the delivery layer that separates candidates who answer these questions from the candidates who own the room with it. So let's get into it. Here's what nobody tells you. When you are a fresher, tell me about yourself is pretty straightforward. You have 2 years of experience, you cover your degree, your internship, 1 or 2 highlights. Done. When you have 12 years of experience, suddenly you have so much to say. And that's where the trap springs. Most experienced professionals do one of the 3 things. They chronologically walk through every role since their first job. They list every project and responsibility they can remember. Or they hedge. I have done a lot of things, I'm not too sure where to start. And hand the room's confidence straight back to the interviewer. I coached a senior finance professional's 14 years of experience, genuinely impressive track record, 2 industry awards. She was being interviewed for a CFO role at a mid-sized concern. I asked her to answer, tell me about yourself. She spoke for 3.5 minutes chronologically, starting from her first job in 2009. By the time she reached her most relevant experience, the last 4 years, the interviewer was already glazing. The problem wasn't her background. The problem was that she treated the question as an inventory exercise. When the interviewer is actually asking a completely different question, tell me something about yourself is not a request for your career history. It is an invitation to position yourself as the answer to their problem. That is the shift. And everything else in this video flows from it. So, if the chronological walkthrough does not work, what does? There's a specific structure that senior professionals need, and it has 3 distinct parts. And here's what surprises most people. It starts at the end, not the beginning. I call it the PVF structure. The present, value, fit. Part 1. Present. Start with where you are right now, not where you started. One crisp sentence on your current role and the level at which you are operating. Not your title, your impact. Like, right now I lead a team of 30 people responsible for the company's entire client delivery function. We manage relationships worth about 200 crores annually. That sentence does something very specific. It anchors the interviewer immediately at your level. They know who they are talking to within the first 10 seconds. They stop trying to calibrate and start listening. Part 2, value. This is the one or two things you are known for. Not everything that you have done, the thread that runs through your career. The thing your colleagues, your managers, your clients would say about you if someone asked. Across every role I have held, the common thread has been building teams in ambiguous situations, stepping into functions that needed structure and creating it. Notice what that does. It positions you as someone with a specialization, not just a history. And specialization is what makes senior candidates memorable. Part 3, fit. This is the bridge, and most people skip it entirely. A brief, specific statement on why this role, why this organization, and why now. Not a compliment, a connection. So you can say, what drew me to this opportunity is that your organization is at exactly the stage where that kind of structuring capability matters most. And that's where I do my best work. When you put these three parts together, present, value, and fit, your answer is somewhere between 90 seconds and 2 minutes. It is focused, it is positioned, and it tells the interviewer before they have asked a single follow up question that you understand what they need and you are at it. I had a client, a senior project manager in an infrastructure project, 16 years of experience, who rewrote his answer using this structure before a shortlist interview. He told me afterwards, Vijay, the interviewer smiled and said, that was the clearest answer I have ever heard all week. He got the offer. But here's the thing, getting the structure right is only half the work because the way you deliver it matters just as much as the words. And the most experienced professionals make one delivery mistake that undermines everything. If you are still with me, good. Because what I want to share next is that layer that most interview prep content never touches. It's not about what you say, it's about how you carry yourself when you say it. And if this is landing for you, hit the subscribe button. Every week, I put out content for experienced professionals who want to lead better and position themselves for what they actually deserve. Now, let's talk about delivery. Here's the delivery mistake I see most often in senior professionals. They answer the question, they respond to it like it is a test to pass. But a director level candidate, an experienced professional being considered for a very significant role, doesn't just answer questions, they lead the conversation. Three things change when you do this well. First, your pace. Most people speak too fast when they are nervous. Slow down, deliberately. A senior professional who speaks at an unhurried pace signals that they are not trying to impress, they are sharing. That's a very different kind of energy. Second, your eye contact. Don't glance at the table. Don't look at your hands. Don't look at the ceiling when you are thinking. Look at the interviewer. Not aggressively, but warmly. The way a peer looks at a peer, not a way a candidate looks at a judge. Third, and this is the one that transforms the dynamics entirely. End with a question, not a sentence. After your PVF answer, close with, I would love to understand more about where the organization is heading on this. What success looks like in this role over the first year. Do you see just what happened? You did not just answer the first question, you moved the conversation forward. You stopped being an interviewee and you became a participant. That is what senior hiring managers remember. Not the person who gave the perfect answer, but the person who made the conversation feel like a dialogue. Let me flip it for a moment. Think about it from the other side of the table. When I was in those hiring conversations, what was I actually hoping to feel? I wasn't hoping to be impressed by a long list of achievements. I was hoping to feel this person gets it. I was hoping the candidate would walk in and make me feel confident, not in their past, but in their judgment. The PVS structure gives them the narrative. The delivery layer gives them the confidence. Together, they give the interviewer exactly what they are looking for, but almost nobody pairs them. Now you will. I want to come back to what I said at the very beginning that experienced professionals, the ones with the strongest track records, often get this question more wrong than people early in their careers. Now you know why. Because they were never told what the question is actually asking. It is not asking for your history, it's asking for your positioning. And positioning, clear, confident, and connected positioning is what separates the candidates who get the offer from the ones who get the we will be in touch. The clarity to know what to say, the confidence to deliver it without apology, the communication to make it feel like a conversation is not a performance. You have spent years doing exceptional work. This video is about making sure the room can see it in the first 90 seconds. You owe yourself that. If you have made it this far, you now have something most experienced professionals going into interviews do not have: a structure, a delivery approach, and an understanding of what the interviewer is actually looking out for. Here's what I want you to do right now. Write your PVF structure. Present. One sentence on where you are and the impact you operate at. Value. One or two sentences on what the thread that runs through the work. And fit. One sentence connecting your experience to this opportunity. Then read it loud. Not in your head, out loud. You'll immediately hear what's working and what's not working. And if you want to go deeper, I run a free leadership acceleration masterclass where we work through exactly how experienced professionals can position themselves for the opportunities they actually deserve, not just the ones that they are being considered for. The link is in the description. Come join us. Drop a comment below and tell me which part of this hit hardest for you: the structure, the delivery, or the mindset shift around what the question is actually asking. I read every single comment. And if this gave you something useful, subscribe. Every week, content for professionals who are serious about where they are going. I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.